Alrighty, this is going to be your dynamic run warm-up. It's simple, it's effective, it only takes a couple minutes to do. You're going to do this before every single run. It's going to be consistency and persistency that's going to make this valuable. Now it's going to combine some isometrics and some plyometrics. It's going to get your heart rate up, and over time you can mix up the exercises or add in slight variations, but the general flow is going to be the same. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start by focusing on side to side or lateral movement, and then we're going to go forward to backwards movement. So what I like to do to get started is a little bit of isometric breathing and a little bit of a kickstand RDL. So if I go ahead and place my leg into a kickstand, I soften the knee, and then I'm going to turn my pelvis in. Then I'm going to reach my opposite arm down until I feel a big stretch in this glute. So I'm reaching my right hand towards my left foot, and then I'm going to feel that stretch in the hamstring glute. Then I'm just going to hold this isometric as I breathe in and out. Breathe in, out. I'm not counting reps. I'm not counting time. I'm just doing what feels good. I can add in a little bit of pulses here, or kind of pulse. Get almost like a mini nerve floss in there. And then we're going to switch sides. So that kickstand, one more time. Kick the leg back, soften the knee, push your hip back and up into that nice hinged position. Turn your pelvis in, reach the opposite arm for the opposite leg, left arm to right foot. I've got almost all my weight. You can see I can pick up my back leg. And then I want to feel that stretch in that glute and hamstring. And then we're breathing. Get some pulses in there. Get that nice hinge movement. We're going to do that one more time. I like to do everything twice, no particular reason. Just two of everything feels good. So kickstand RDL, soften the knee. Remember, push the hip back and up. Turn the chest and torso in. Think about reaching your hip and sit bone for the ceiling. So I want to try to lift my sit bone to the ceiling. Find that stretch, breathe, and hold the ISO. Boom, other side. This warm-up won't take as long as when you go through it the first time. Once you get the movements down super quick. Here, kickstand, single leg RDL. Remember, turn your pelvis in, push your hip back and up, feel your back hip pocket. So whenever we do an RDL, I should feel my back hip pocket stretch out. I also call it Instagram or TikTok model, where they're trying to get more likes. And then we hold and breathe. Okay, so now we're going to do that same movement, except now we're going to take it into a side lunge. So obviously a side lunge where I'd step out and boom to the side. For this one, we're going to think about bringing our opposite elbow and knee together. So almost like we're doing a crisscross march, but we're going to make sure that we do the same thing we just did. So don't get your legs super wide for this one. I'm going to sit into that quarter squat, so very similar position. So I'm going to shift over to this side and then keep this other leg straight. And then I'm going to bring my hip back as I bring my opposite elbow towards my opposite knee. And then we're going to do the breathing there. So this leg straight, a lot of people are going to bend this leg. Keep this leg straight. And then I'm breathing here. This other arm is reaching back. And then I shift to the other side, this leg straight. Notice how my belly button is my center of mass. I want my center of mass on top of the other foot. So if your legs are wide, your center of mass won't get over your foot. So legs are narrow. Shift your center of mass over the foot, straighten this leg, crisscross applesauce, and breathe. This other arm can reach back. From the side, it would look like this. Shift your center of mass over, and then you can even, if you're starting to open up, you can bring this elbow on the opposite side. Feels really good. And then the other side, shift center of mass. If you start to open up, so if your range of motion is improving, you can widen your legs. Think about, remember, reach your hip back and up. Pull your hip back and up. Get that big stretch of that glute. Should feel really good. Now, if you feel up to it, you can do where you start to make that dynamic movement, where we go and shift. Sometimes I'll add that in. So the same thing. Now just trying to bring that elbow over and across. Almost like a speed skater in the Olympics. And boom. Remember, don't get lost in sets and reps. Just do what feels good and move to the next one. All right, so we're gonna do a side shuffle. The goal of this is to push to move, and I don't want to hear your heels and feet clapping together, so they should not be smacking. We're pushing to move, and I'm gonna start here. So simply push, push, push. Notice how I'm pushing with the outside, pushing with the left, pushing with the right. I should feel my adductor. Now, whenever we're doing a dynamic warm-up, we have a couple choices as we do sets and reps. You can either go faster, so I could speed that up. I could try to go further with each step, or when we get to some of the jumps and hops, we can try to go higher. So if I was gonna go faster, obviously I would just speed that up. And that's something that if you're gonna do maybe 4 sets back and forth, each set try to increase the speed. Or like I said, when we get to the hops, you can try to go higher, faster, or further with each one. All right, so you're going side to side. Now, I'd recommend going almost about 15 to the left, 15 to the right. I'm making sure I stay within the camera, so you can keep going. You don't have to stop every couple feet. You could go 15 this way, 15 this way, and that should be fine. Next up is going to be the grapevine. The grapevine is a classic exercise where we're crossing our feet, and you're trying to keep your chest forward. So you're gonna keep your chest forward. I like to get my hands out, and my goal is to swivel my hips almost 180 degrees where they go and face towards 3 o'clock, and then they face towards 9 o'clock, but my chest stays forward. So this is just like you did in elementary school. So arms are out, crisscross applesauce, and you're swiveling the hips. Once again, go further than this. I'm just staying within the camera. Swivel, swivel. Notice, chest stays forward, hip swivel. Chest stays forward, hip swivel. Now I can start to speed it up. And boom. Okay, that's your next movement. Notice how we're just progressing. All right, now we're going to make it a little bit more dynamic. We're going to do the speed skater hop. So for speed skater hops, start slow and low. So here, I'm going to bring my leg outside. And 3 to 5, and then take a break. So, basic speed skater hop. Then in your next set, you can go faster. So you can keep the same distance and try to get off the ground quicker. Or now you can try to go further. So maybe in set 2, you want to go further where you have to put more power into the ground. So, okay? Or your other option is to go higher. So higher, further, faster. So if I go higher, I'm going to try to get more upright. So almost like you're jumping up over like a small barrier or small fence. So here, And notice how with that, I'm going to have more yielding or bending. So, speed saver hops. Once again, do 3 to 5 reps. So that's higher. And then take a break. Your heart rate will naturally elevate, but remember, do 3 to 5 each side and then take a break. Okay, for lateral movement, that's pretty good. Now we're gonna go forward to backwards. So for forward, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to do an isometric lunge hold. So we're going to go into a lunge. I'm going to level my pelvis. So take my pelvis, posterior tilt, level it, and then I'm gonna drop down into that lunge where I feel that hip flexor stretch. And we're gonna get that isometric there. Now, if I wanna make this a bigger stretch, I'm gonna take my back leg and I'm gonna flex my quads so the back leg is straight. And I can do that for reps. Flex the back leg straight, bend the knee. Flex the back leg straight, bend the knee. Now, if I want more stretch, I widen, so I bring my front leg forward, and then I'm going into this, what's called the long lunge, and I want to think about lifting that pelvis up and bend the knee and straight. Now, eventually, you can get to the point where you just hold that long lunge and that straight leg, and that's totally fine, okay? So we're going to do that obviously on both sides. I'm making sure my camera doesn't shut off. So we're going to the other side. Start in the 90, so a 90 position. Stretch the big toe, level the pelvis off, drop down. So notice I've got a 90-degree bend in each knee. Start here, get that hip flexor stretch going, and then start opening up into hip extension by performing that straight knee extension. As you start to open up range of motion, start to get into that long lunge position, stretching the big toe, stretching the hip flexor, and then notice I've got a bend in the knee, try to completely get that bend out of there. And then if I want to sink further in or widen out, that's even better. Once again, I like to do 2 sets of everything. It just feels better than just one. Remember, this warm-up will not take this long. You go from one exercise to the next. I call it 10-minute technique time, where it's not running technique, but this is the basic fundamentals, which is isometric, plyometric, hopping, bounding, and rhythm. And it's gonna make you feel really good. So we go into our second set of each side, and I'm down. And then as you start to open up, just increase the range of motion. But this is called the long lunge, right? Opening up those hip flexors. If you want to get even more stretch, you're going to reach up to the ceiling in the sky. Or if you want more stretch, you can try to rotate back towards your back heel. So I can go up, or I can rotate back. You don't actually have to touch the heel, but if you try to rotate back, that's going to get the hip flexor stretch. So long lunge, and then you can add in your back extensions, or my favorite is the reach back, which is actually called the diagonal stretch, which I actually have an exercise video for. Okay, so that's going to be our long lunge. Now we're going to do forward and backward movements. So we're gonna start by going forward, and we're gonna get a little bit of Frankenstein's. Now with Frankenstein's, I want you to stay nice and tall. Your arms are going to stay straight out in front of you. So don't crunch on this one. And you're going to go to your opposite hand. So I'm here, and I want you to do this one step at a time. So left to right, right to left. In each step, you're going to the opposite side. And then you can go backwards if you feel like you can, or if it's too hard, just switch around. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Don't get shorter. Take one step. And then as you do sets, you can go faster or higher, right? So I can go faster, or I can try to kick higher, right? So Frankenstein's. Then what I like to do is I actually like to do a little bit of back skip. So that's going to be where I have a little bit of rhythm. Push to move, push to move. Back skip, back skip, almost like trying to show off a little bit. Back skip, back skip, back skip, and then we're back into Frankenstein's. And then back skip, I can go higher, I can go further, and boom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to skip forward. It's going to do just a power skip, opposite arm, opposite leg. Sorry, it's so short. Opposite arm, opposite leg. And then I'm going to do a backwards jog. Okay, backwards jog. Skip, opposite arm, opposite leg. Backwards jog. Now I can increase the speed, the height, so I can go further. Faster. Boom. Then what I like to do is practice some single leg forward hops. So then once we're here, I'm going to forward hop with one leg, switch sides, do about 5 reps, and then once again, maybe 3 to 4 sets. So then I do 4 leg, faster, further, higher. There's always that one side that makes you feel crazy. Okay? And then from here, this is where you can add any exercises that make you feel good. So a lot of people like high knees. A lot of people like butt kickers. And those are great and those are fine. But obviously you want your run warm up to not become like a 20 to 30 minute thing. And if you run this straight through, it's about 5 to 10 minutes. So there are a ton of other movements you can do. And there are other movements I do like to add to this. So sometimes I like to do the classic up, out, hip car, up, out, hip car. That's totally fine. So what I want you to realize is this is a basic template for your dynamic run warm-up, and you can sneak in variations very easily, whether that's forward, backwards, or that. So I want you to go through this. I want you to do this before you run, and this will be your 10-minute technique time that'll help get you warmed up for your run. It'll get your isos and plyos going, and it should make your runs feel a lot better over time.